Ladies, let me tell you something. You don't need to wait till he says, I love you to know whether that man will love you or break you. A man reveals his intentions long before he speaks them. Not through flowers, not through dinner dates, not through sweet words that roll off his tongue like honey in the dark, but through signs, quiet, chilling, blinking red lights that flash behind your feelings. If only you'd slow down long enough to see them. And the truth is, the same heart that makes you fall can also blind you. So today, I need you to listen, not with your ears, but with your future, with your healing, with your self-worth. Because some men don't come to build, they come to consume. And if you're not awake, if you're not aware, he'll shatter you before you even hear him whisper, I love you. Here's how you know Shine One. He doesn't study you. When a man is serious about a woman, he studies her, not to manipulate her, but to understand her. He wants to know what makes you smile when no one's watching, what songs make you cry, what traumas still haunt you. He pays attention to your silence. He learns your love language, not so he can pass the test, but because your happiness is his joy. But a man who will shatter you, he doesn't study because he doesn't care to understand. He listens to respond, not to absorb. He shows up late in your story and still expects to be the main character. He skips your chapters and eventually he'll tear out the ending. Don't fall for a man who's not curious about your soul. The ones who don't seek to know you are always the first to destroy you. Sign 2, he minimizes your pain. Watch the way he reacts when you're vulnerable, when you cry, when you're overwhelmed, when you're anxious. Does he hold space for you, or does he tell you you're overreacting? Because any man who shrinks your pain will never protect your heart. If he mocks your emotions now, imagine what he'll do when he causes them. A man who makes you feel weak for feeling is a man who will make you beg for validation later. You don't need someone who silences your struggle. You need someone who honors your fight. Sign 3, he keeps you in the almost his girlfriend, almost exclusive, almost serious, almost respected, almost loved. You stay in this limbo where nothing is clear, but everything is draining. He doesn't give you titles because titles come with responsibility. He wants access to your body, your heart, your support, but none of the accountability that love demands. And he'll tell you he's not ready, but still treat you like you belong to him. Sus, understand this. Consistency without clarity is manipulation. Don't let a man half love you into heartbreak. Sign 4, he's addicted to control. Not love, not commitment, not growth. Control. The type of man who watches your every move like a warden. Not a partner who gets angry when you have male friends, who hates your independence, who questions your every decision, not out of care but control. At first, it might look like protection, but protection without respect is prison. If he needs to shrink your life to feel like a man, then he was never one to begin with. And the longer you stay, the more you'll become a ghost in your own skin. Sign 5, he competes with you. You share your wins, and he gets silent. You shine, and he dims the room. You talk about your dreams, and he subtly makes you feel like you're aiming too high. That's not love. That's insecurity wearing cologne. A man who loves you will clap when you rise, not crumble. He will push you forward, not pull you back. If you have to hide your ambition to keep a man comfortable, you're not in love, you're in a cage. And eventually he'll make you question the very wings God gave you. Sign 6, his apologies feel like manipulation. A man who's going to shatter you won't say sorry to repair. He'll say it to reset the cycle. He hurts you, then rushes back with tears and tenderness, only to do it again. That's not love, that's emotional warfare. He weaponizes your empathy. He counts on your forgiveness. He dances with your boundaries until they vanish. Real apologies come with changed behavior, not recycled excuses. Be careful, because the most dangerous men don't break your bones. They break your spirit and smile while you thank them. for coming back. Sign 7, he makes you the villain in every story. He never takes responsibility. Every failed relationship, her fault. Every argument, your fault. Every flaw, justified. He lives in a house of mirrors where he's always the victim. And trust me, if he can't own his past, he will destroy your future. You'll spend your days apologizing for the things he did, trying to heal wounds he denies, and carrying guilt that doesn't belong to you. You're not his rehab center. You're not his emotional punching bag. And you're not obligated to fix the man who refuses to even face himself. Sign 8, your intuition is screaming and you're silencing it. It's that uneasy feeling in your gut, the way your smile feels forced around him, the way your joy fades in his presence. You try to brush it off. You blame yourself. You tell your friends, he's not that bad. But sis, your body knows. Your spirit knows. Stop gaslighting your intuition because you're scared of being alone. The longer you ignore it, the deeper the damage. It's better to walk away with your dignity than stay and lose your soul. Sign 9, he isolates you. Slowly, subtly, strategically. At first it's just, I don't like how your friend talks to you. Then it's, why are you always with your family? Before you know it, you're alone. No support. No community, just him and his rules. A man who isolates you is a man who plans to control you. Don't confuse possessiveness with passion. Real love doesn't need to cut off your world to feel secure. It wants to see you loved by others. A man who respects you knows you are not a possession. You are a person with a tribe, a voice, a light. Sign 10, he doesn't fear losing you. And this might be the loudest red flag of all. A man who can go days without checking in, who treats your absence like background noise, who disrespects you and assumes you'll stay. That's not a lover, that's a gambler. And he's betting on your brokenness. He's counting on the fact that you'll tolerate his bare minimum because you've made him your maximum. Don't ever love someone so much that you teach them they can survive without loving you back. If a man isn't afraid to lose you, it's because he doesn't believe you'll walk away. Prove him wrong. Now listen to me, sis. Love isn't supposed to feel like survival. It isn't supposed to feel like negotiation. It isn't supposed to feel like walking on glass just to be enough. You don't have to beg to be chosen. You don't have to shrink to be loved. And you don't have to break to feel bonded. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is not because you don't love him, but because you finally love you. And I know that's hard. I know what it feels like to stay in the hope of potential, to rewrite the red flags as miscommunications, to believe that your softness can fix his sharpness. But here's the truth. Nobody tells you. Your love can't reach the heart of a man who refuses to open it. Your loyalty can't resurrect what was never dead because it was never alive. You're not a project. You're a prize. You're not a pit stop for broken men. You're a destination for a whole one. One who sees you, one who values you, one who brings peace, not confusion. Let me say this loud for the women in the back. You are not hard to love. You've just been trying to love men who don't know what love is. But now you know. Now you can walk with your eyes open. Now you can stop romanticizing the pain and start prioritizing your peace. Now you can stop waiting for a man to say, I love you, and start watching for the man who shows it in everything he does. Because love, real love, it doesn't shatter, it shelters, it covers, it builds, it grows. And the next time you hear that sweet phrase, I love you, make sure it's not coming from the mouth of a man who's already been dismantling your worth, piece by piece, word by word, silence by silence. This time, make sure you're not falling for the idea of love while ignoring the evidence of harm. You deserve more, and your healing begins the moment you stop calling chaos chemistry. And while we're here, let me speak on something else that's been breaking too many women in silence. The illusion of potential. The way you keep looking at what he could be instead of who he's shown you he is. You're in love with the blueprint, not the build. You've created a version of him in your mind, one who listens, who grows, who shows up, who transforms. and you keep trying to hold him accountable to the man he's not even trying to become. But understand this. Potential without action is just a beautiful form of avoidance. He's not failing to become a better man because he's lost. He's failing because he's comfortable knowing you'll stay, knowing you'll explain away his patterns, knowing you'll do the emotional labor of both people in the relationship. And that's where too many of you are living, in this unpaid internship for a future wife role. You haven't even been promised, given your body, given your time, giving your vulnerability to a man who hasn't even offered you clarity. A man who won't define the relationship but will define your wardrobe. A man who won't commit to you in public but will control you in private. A man who won't say he's yours yet gets jealous when you remind him you're still free. That's not passion, that's possession. There is no honor in being loyal to a situation that is dishonoring you. And I know it's not easy to walk away when your heart still wants to believe, when you've told your family about him, when you've painted your future around him, when you've sacrificed your self-esteem, trying to keep a connection that keeps breaking you. But let's be honest. If your love story reads like a crime scene, where every week you're investigating emotional wounds and tracing back lies, you're not in a relationship. You're in recovery mode, constantly patching holes in a ship that was never seaworthy to begin with. Here's the truth. Healthy love doesn't come wrapped in emotional instability. It doesn't drain you, confuse you, or leave you second-guessing your sanity. And yet here you are, carrying a relationship on your back while he strolls freely through life unbothered, detached, and entitled to your loyalty. Let me tell you something painful but necessary. The man who truly values you would never put you in a position where you have to guess how he feels. He won't play hide and seek with your peace. He won't create chaos just to test your devotion. And he won't string you along while calling it taking things slow. A man who truly wants you won't waste your time because he understands that women like you are rare. A woman who gives from her heart, shows up without games, holds down her circle, and still has the courage to love after all she's been through. That's not common, that's sacred. But you can't keep handing that sacred energy to a man who doesn't even bring clean hands to the table. Stop breaking yourself into digestible pieces just to be tolerated by someone who was never ready for your whole self. You are not too much. He is just unequipped. And if you have to keep shrinking, silencing, apologizing, and adjusting just to maintain the connection, you're not building a bond, you're building a battlefield inside yourself. Because here's what they don't teach us. You can be deeply in love with someone and still be completely out of alignment with them. You can share chemistry, laughter, even a bed, and still be worlds apart in maturity, values, and purpose. And the longer you stay misaligned, the more you start losing yourself in the effort to preserve something that was never meant to be permanent. So let me ask you this. When was the last time you felt safe? I'm not talking about safety in the physical sense. I'm talking about emotional safety. The kind of safety that lets you rest in his presence, that lets you be soft without being punished for it, that lets you be powerful without being resented for it. If the answer is I can't remember, then you've already stayed too long. Because a man who can shatter you is often the man who first convinces you that no one else will love you like he does, that you're lucky to have him, that your standards are unrealistic, that your sensitivity is a problem, that your independence is a threat, that your voice is too loud, that your boundaries are drama. That's not love, that's grooming. It's how emotionally dangerous men keep powerful women small, by making them believe that self-sacrifice is romantic, that suffering is noble, that waiting is loyalty. But let's break the lie right now. Waiting for a man to love you the right way is not patience. It's self-abandonment with a pretty excuse, and no matter how much you water dead soil, it will not bloom. You have a life to live, a calling to walk in, a destiny that requires your whole heart, and you can't fulfill any of that when you're constantly healing from the same person who broke you. Let him go, not because you're bitter, not because you're angry, but because you're finally ready to choose you, to return to your power, to walk in clarity, to protect the woman you are becoming from the man who doesn't even respect the woman you are now. It's not your job to prove your worth to a man who refuses to see it. You don't need to perform, to beg, to teach, or to rescue. You're not his second mother. You're not his savior. You are a woman, radiant, resilient, evolving, and if that terrifies him, let him run. The right one won't be afraid of your light. He'll stand in it with you. He'll match it. He'll add to it. He won't dim you. He won't mute you. He won't punish you for having a voice or a vision or a path. Because real love doesn't require you to become less. It inspires you to become more rooted, more whole, more yourself. So here's what I want you to do tonight. Block the number you keep rereading. Delete the thread you keep scrolling. Stop praying for God to change a man who has no desire to be changed. And start praying for the strength to trust your intuition, the clarity to release what drains you, the courage to walk into the unknown. Because yes, the healing will hurt, but staying will hurt long. And you were not born to bleed just to keep someone else comfortable. You were born to be loved well. And baby, that begins with loving yourself loud enough to never settle again. There's something sacred about a woman who finally says, enough. Not in anger, not in but in peace. That quiet, unshakable moment when she realizes she's been clinging to someone who never once tried to hold her back. That moment when she steps outside the illusion and sees it for what it was, a performance of affection with no depth, no spine, no future. That's when the real power returns. That's when healing begins. Because sometimes you don't lose him. You find yourself, and you don't have to hate him to move on from him. You just have to stop betraying yourself in the name of love. Too often you've been the one who over-explains, the one who overextends, the one who carries conversations, initiates affection, calms conflict, and patches cracks that were never yours to fill. You've become the emotional contractor in a relationship that was never structurally sound. But love shouldn't feel like a full-time job with no salary, no rest, and no return. It should meet you halfway. It should pour into you just as deeply as you pour into it. And any connection that constantly asks you to prove your worth is one that already knows it's not deserving of it. Some of you are confusing familiarity with connection. You've been with him so long that you think the length of time justifies the lack of peace. But years in dysfunction don't equal depth. They just reveal how long you've ignored your own voice. Let that sink in. How long have you been silencing your soul just to stay? Because deep down you already know. You know when you're with someone who's not rooted. You feel it in the way your joy dims after every conversation, in the way your anxiety spikes before you see his name pop up, in the way you've started second-guessing your dreams, your brilliance, your body, because he makes you feel like you're always too much or never enough. That's not love. That's erosion. And the longer you stay, the more you become unrecognizable to the woman you used to be. Let me ask you something bold. When did you stop feeling proud of yourself? Was it when he mocked your goals? When he rolled his eyes every time you spoke up? When he disappeared for days, then came back like nothing happened? When you cried yourself to sleep and told no one because you didn't want to be judged for staying? Those moments matter. They accumulate. They chip away at your identity until all you're left with is survival mode softness. Gentle on the outside, broken on the inside. And let's not ignore the spiritual cost. Because when you're tied to someone who's constantly depleting you, even your prayers start to feel heavy. You stop asking for joy and start begging for relief. You start questioning whether maybe you're the problem. Maybe if you were quieter, sexier, calmer, more patient, maybe then he'd change. But it's not your fault he's emotionally bankrupt. It's not your job to fill his voids. You were never supposed to lose yourself to love. You were supposed to rise in it. You were supposed to feel covered, seen, chosen, not tolerated, not managed, not gaslit. And you definitely weren't supposed to become a casualty of his undealt with trauma. Listen, it is not noble to stay where your soul is suffocating. You can be a loving, loyal woman and still walk away. You can forgive him and still never give him access again. Because healing is not about returning to what broke you with stronger armor. It's about leaving so you never have to wear armor in love again. Somewhere deep in you, there's a woman who remembers who she is. The woman who used to laugh without checking his mood first, who used to dream without factoring in his fears, who didn't carry the weight of a man who refuses to carry himself. She's still there. She's waiting. She needs you now. Because let's be honest, you've bent enough. You've sacrificed enough. You've compromised your peace long enough. And if he still hasn't recognized your value after all of that, it's because he was never looking for a queen, just a convenient landing place. You're not here to be a mirror for a man's insecurities. You're here to be a masterpiece that reflects God's grace, strength, and divine design. You're not too strong. You're not too emotional. You're not too loud. You are exactly the kind of woman who transforms rooms when she walks in. And any man who's intimidated by that light is simply unworthy of standing in it. You don't need to edit yourself for love. You need to elevate yourself toward alignment. Because the man who's for you, he won't flinch at your fire. He'll match it. He'll protect it. He'll help you build with it. He won't disappear when things get real. He won't weaponize your past against you. He won't push your boundaries and call it passion. He will listen, not just to your words, but to your silences. He'll respect your standards. He'll guard your heart like it's sacred, not just something to borrow. So please, stop romanticizing potential in men who've only ever handed you pain. Stop glamorizing chaos because you're afraid of stillness. Stop telling yourself that love requires struggle. That's a myth, a dangerous one. Real love has challenges, yes, but it doesn't start with destruction. And here's one more truth. No man can give you what you're unwilling to give yourself. If you want honor, honor yourself. If you want clarity, live in clarity. If you want peace, protect it. Every time you lower your standards, you teach him what you'll tolerate. But every time you walk in your worth, you remind him and the world that you are not afraid to be alone if it means being whole. Because the most dangerous thing a woman can do is stay in something that keeps chipping away at her soul in exchange for temporary companionship. Loneliness is hard, yes, but it's nothing compared to the emptiness of being unseen in someone else's presence. You weren't made to settle. You weren't created to be anyone's afterthought. You are not here to be reshaped by dysfunction until you forget what happiness feels like. You are here to build, to thrive, to be loved in a way that feels like safety, not survival. So take a deep breath, step back, and remember who you are before the heartbreak, before the confusion, before the compromises. She's still in there, and she's waiting for you to come home. Let's talk about the silence you've been carrying. The kind that lingers after he leaves and you don't even have the energy to cry. The kind that doesn't scream but still aches louder than words. The silence of wondering how you got here. How someone so full of love ended up feeling so empty. It's the silence of every conversation you didn't start because you already knew he wouldn't hear you. The silence of every boundary you didn't set because you feared he'd walk away. The silence of settling again. But I want to say something now, something no one else is saying loud enough. You are allowed to outgrow people who were only meant to teach you something, not stay. Some men are lessons, not life partners. They come wrapped in chemistry, in charm, in temporary sweetness. But beneath the surface, they were only sent to reveal what you still need to heal. They weren't sent to build with you. They were sent to reflect what you still believe you deserve. And when you no longer believe your love is a debt owed to broken men, those patterns start to break. Because when you truly begin to heal, you stop seeing red flags as romantic hurdles. You stop trying to be the exception to his dysfunction. You stop looking for magic in a man who only offers you manipulation. You stop holding space for someone who's already shown you in 1,000 quiet ways that they are not ready to hold space for you. Healing changes your vision. It makes you bold. You stop explaining yourself. You stop asking for closure. You stop waiting for the right moment to leave. You stop making excuses for disrespect just because you're used to it. And instead, you stand tall, unshaken, clear. You stand in your no, in your not anymore, in your I won't betray myself just to keep someone who doesn't even know how to cherish me. And from that place, from that inner knowing, everything shifts. Your standards change. Your energy sharpens. The doors you once begged to be opened, you walk past them now with peace. The men you once cried over, you see them clearly now and thank God for unanswered prayers. Because here's the truth. A man who's willing to shatter you before he even says I love you is a man who will wreck your future while convincing you he's the best you'll ever have. He'll feed your hope while starving your spirit. He'll say the right things when you're ready to walk away and the wrong things when you need him most. He'll give just enough to keep you doubting, never enough to let you rest. He'll spin confusion into comfort and convince you that being off balance is part of love's dance. But that's not a relationship. That's a performance, a dangerous, exhausting performance that steals your joy in exchange for crumbs of connection. You deserve better than crumbs. You deserve someone who doesn't have to be chased for clarity, someone who doesn't weaponize your past to keep you small, someone who sees your worth before you bend, before you plead, before you prove. You deserve the kind of love that feels like alignment, not emotional gymnastics. And no, it doesn't matter how long you've known him. It doesn't matter how much you've invested. It doesn't matter what he says could happen one day. The only thing that matters is what he's showing you now, right now, in real time, because love is not a concept. It's not a future dream. It's not a fantasy you hope comes true if you hold on long enough. Love is action. Love is consistency. Love is how he shows up when it's inconvenient. Love is how he protects you when no one's watching. Love is how he honors you when he's angry. Love is what you feel when you're around him. Peace, not panic. Stop measuring a man's potential by how good he is when he's in the mood to try. Measure him by how he treats you when things get uncomfortable. Measure him by how often you've had to suppress your truth just to keep the peace. Measure him by how many times you've said this is the last time and still found yourself back in the same pain. If you're constantly feeling like you're not enough, it's not you, it's the space you're in, the relationship you're tied to, the energy you're absorbing, and every second you spend trying to fix something that's not yours to fix. You rob yourself of the healing that's been waiting for you all along. You were never meant to live in confusion. You were never meant to second guess your value. You were never meant to trade your softness for survival. Your love is not a liability. Your desire for connection is not a weakness. Your boundaries are not barriers to love. They are invitations for someone who actually knows how to honor them. Don't let pain become your comfort zone. Don't let the fear of starting over become the chain that keeps you tied to emotional imprisonment. Don't let a man's indecision define your identity. You are not broken. You are not difficult. You are not unlovable. You are a force. You are a lighthouse. You are everything sacred wrapped in skin and strength. And your love, your deep, passionate, committed love deserves someone who brings peace to it, not pieces. So if you're sitting there tonight wondering whether this message is for you, it is. If you've been praying for a sign, this is it. You don't need another reason. You don't need a final straw. You don't need to wait until he breaks you completely to decide that enough is enough. You can choose peace today. You can choose healing today. You can choose you today. And not out of bitterness, not out of revenge, but out of revenge. But out of revenge for the woman you are and the woman you're becoming. You are allowed to leave people who confuse you. You are allowed to protect your spirit. You are allowed to choose clarity, even if it comes wrapped in solitude. Because there is life after letting go. There is joy after heartbreak. There is wholeness after pain. And the version of you that rises on the other side, she will not beg for love. She will not entertain half effort. She will not mistake apology for transformation. She will stand whole, wise, and wildly in love with herself. And when love does come again, she won't settle, because now she knows the man who's worthy of her will never make her question whether she. You've spent enough nights dissecting conversations that were never honest to begin with, rereading texts that said nothing with 1,000 words, searching for yourself in a relationship that never gave you room to exist beyond his comfort zone. That ends here, because here's something you haven't told yourself enough. You are allowed to exist without explaining your worth to someone who keeps asking for proof after proof, while giving you nothing but contradiction. You don't need to twist yourself into emotional origami every time he acts inconsistent. You don't need to play investigator, therapist, and cheerleader for a man who doesn't even show up as a teammate. And yet you've been trying to turn confusion into connection, silence into safety, distance into desire. But the truth is, he's not misunderstood. He's just misaligned with your spirit. That anxious feeling in your chest before his call, that's not love. That's your nervous system warning you that something is off. You call it butterflies, but butterflies don't live in fear. Let's get honest about that anxiety you've normalized. The kind where you overthink your text. Should you say this? Will he ghost if you're too direct? Will he call you clingy if you ask for time? So you water yourself down. You shrink your desires. You call it being low maintenance, but really it's emotional starvation dressed up as chill. You weren't created to be digestible. You were created to be whole. And any man who cannot receive the fullness of you, your emotions, your truth, your standards, your silence, your strength isn't equipped to love you, not even close. You've mastered the art of staying calm in chaos. But peace, that foreign, unfamiliar thing where your voice is valued and not tolerated, where your love isn't weaponized, where your tears aren't used against you, that's where you belong. Not in these near-miss relationships, not in emotional tug-of-wars, not in places where you're expected to lower your expectations just to keep the peace. You weren't made to beg for someone to show up. And let's talk about the way you've internalized his neglect. You've told yourself it's your fault, that if you were prettier, quieter, more agreeable, he'd change. You've blamed your own softness for his inability to step up. But let me tell you something sacred. Your vulnerability is not weakness. Your depth is not damage. Your desire to be loved correctly is not too much. You are not being needy for wanting consistency. You are not overreacting for requiring respect. You are not dramatic for needing communication. That is the minimum, not the reward, not the prize. He didn't leave because you were difficult. He left because he couldn't benefit from you without accountability. Stop mourning someone who only loved your potential. Stop grieving a version of him that only existed in your imagination. Stop holding a funeral for a man who was never fully present in the relationship to begin with. You keep remembering how he made you laugh, how his arms felt safe some of the time. But if you're honest, you were more exhausted than embraced. You felt more anxious than adored. You lost more sleep than you gained peace. Because inconsistency is not intimacy. And here's the harsh reality. If he wanted to be consistent, he would be. Men are not confused about the women they want. Men are not too busy to communicate. Men are not too emotionally broken to treat you right. Not when they're showing up for everything else in their lives with full force. He wasn't incapable. He was unwilling. And now that you see that, don't look away. Don't close your eyes just because the truth burns. Let it burn everything that kept you waiting. Let it burn the fantasy. Let it burn the future you scripted in your head. Let it clear the path to something real. The woman you're becoming doesn't have time to dance with inconsistency anymore. She doesn't have time to decode lukewarm affection. She doesn't have time to guess whether she's enough. She knows her worth, her value, her softness, her strength, and she refuses to shrink them, to keep a man who never saw them clearly to begin with. From this moment forward, you stop chasing. You stop hoping he'll suddenly see the light. You stop performing emotional labor just to prove you're lovable. You are lovable right now, fully, fiercely, without delay, without negotiation, without explanation. And the right man won't need you to collapse just to make him feel tall. He'll meet you in your fullness. He'll bring peace to your nervous system. He'll answer questions before they become doubt. He won't need to break you just to realize your value. And no, he won't make you earn the bare minimum. He'll offer more than you even knew was possible. Because that's what happens when you stop settling for situations that leave you shattered. So promise yourself this: never again will you sacrifice your self-respect for someone else's approval. Never again will you stay in a relationship where your silence is more valuable than your truth. Never again will you love someone more than you love your own well-being. You don't have to keep healing from the same type of man wearing a different face. You don't have to keep running in circles around apologies that don't change behavior. You don't have to keep picking up the emotional bill in every relationship you enter. Let this be the last time. The last time you stay just because he has potential. The last time you confused shared history with shared destiny. The last time you confused being chosen for being cherished. Because when you finally step into your healing, you begin to understand this: the most powerful kind of love isn't the one that takes your breath away. It's the one that finally lets you breathe. And you, my love, deserve to breathe easy. There is an undeniable power in learning how to embrace rejection as a stepping stone rather than a stumbling block. Many people never move beyond the initial sting because they allow rejection to define their self-worth. But the truth is, rejection is simply a momentary interruption, a pause in your narrative, not the entire story. This pause invites you to reconsider your direction, sharpen your focus, and summon the inner strength necessary to overcome adversity. When rejection enters your life, it demands that you cultivate an unshakable sense of identity rooted in something far deeper than approval from others. You must come to understand that your true value is intrinsic, eternal, and independent of any external validation. This foundation of self-awareness acts like an unbreakable shield against the corrosive effects of rejection, empowering you to move forward with confidence and purpose. It's important to remember that rejection refines your emotional intelligence. The discomfort it causes teaches you how to regulate your feelings, respond with grace, and communicate with clarity. Instead of reacting impulsively or withdrawing in silence, you learn how to pause, process, and respond thoughtfully. This emotional maturity strengthens your relationships, deepens your connections, and prepares you to lead with empathy and authenticity. In addition, rejection encourages you to develop strategic patience. In a world obsessed with instant gratification, learning to wait wisely is a rare and valuable skill. Rejection signals that the timing is not yet right, or that the opportunity was not fully aligned with your purpose. Developing the ability to wait without losing momentum or enthusiasm allows you to conserve your energy and strike when the moment is ripe. This kind of patience is active, not passive, because it involves preparation, reflection, and sustained effort. Rejection also compels you to strengthen your problem-solving skills. When faced with obstacles, you are forced to think creatively, adapt quickly, and explore alternative solutions. This builds mental agility and resourcefulness, qualities that successful people rely on to navigate an ever-changing landscape. The challenge of overcoming rejection makes you more innovative, more flexible, and ultimately more effective in pursuing your goals. Another profound effect of rejection is its ability to deepen your spiritual resilience. Spiritual resilience is the capacity to maintain faith, hope, and a sense of peace even when circumstances are difficult. It's the quality that enables you to trust God's plan despite uncertainty, to find joy amidst trials, and to rise above despair. Rejection, when approached with the right mindset, is a divine invitation to cultivate this resilience, which serves as a foundation for lasting success and fulfillment. Rejection also exposes you to important lessons about humility. It strips away pride and forces you to acknowledge that you don't have all the answers. This humbling process is not a sign of weakness, but a pathway to wisdom. It opens your heart to guidance, correction, and growth. When you surrender your need for control and embrace humility, You become more teachable and more receptive to the blessings God has prepared for you. There's a critical connection between rejection and authenticity. When you are rejected for being yourself or for pursuing your unique vision, it can be tempting to conform or hide your true identity. But rejection ultimately challenges you to stand firm in who you are. It calls you to embrace your individuality with courage and pride. Authenticity attracts the right people, the right opportunities, and aligns you with your true purpose. When you respond to rejection by reaffirming your authentic self, you set the stage for genuine success. Rejection also acts as a catalyst for building resilience in your faith journey. It encourages you to develop a more intimate and personal relationship with God. When human approval fails, divine approval becomes your anchor. This shift fosters a sense of peace and security that cannot be shaken by external circumstance. Your faith becomes a source of strength, guiding you through difficult seasons and empowering you to keep moving forward. It's essential to recognize that rejection can serve as a filter for your goals and ambitions. Sometimes we chase dreams that are not truly ours, influenced by societal expectations or the desires of others. Rejection forces you to reevaluate your goals, discern what resonates with your soul, and realign with your personal calling. This filtering process saves you from investing time and energy into pursuits that ultimately don't fulfill or sustain you. Furthermore, rejection teaches you the value of perseverance tempered with wisdom. It's not just about pushing harder, but pushing smarter. Sometimes the best response to rejection is to pivot, changing tactics while keeping your vision intact. Perseverance combined with adaptability creates a powerful dynamic that enables you to navigate obstacles effectively. This balance prevents burnout and positions you for sustained success. Rejection also plays a vital role in shaping your leadership qualities. Leaders are not those who avoid failure or rejection, but those who learn and grow through them. Rejection cultivates humility, empathy, patience, and strategic thinking, qualities that make a leader effective and relatable. When you lead by example, showing how to respond to rejection with grace and determination, you inspire others to do the same. The experience of rejection often leads to greater gratitude. When you finally receive the blessings that were hidden behind closed doors, your appreciation is deeper and more heartfelt. Gratitude amplifies joy and fosters a positive mindset that attracts even more blessing. It's a virtuous cycle that starts with recognizing rejection not as loss but as preparation. Rejection also sharpens your capacity for self-reflection. It creates space for honest evaluation of your strengths and weaknesses. This honest assessment is the foundation for personal growth and improvement. Without the discomfort of rejection, many people remain stagnant, unaware of the changes needed to reach their full potential. Another dimension of rejection is its role in teaching you to celebrate small victories. Success is rarely instantaneous. It's a series of small wins that build momentum. Rejection can cause you to overlook progress because your focus is on what didn't happen. Cultivating the habit of recognizing and celebrating incremental achievements keeps your motivation high and your spirit energized. Rejection further invites you to build a support system. Facing setbacks alone can be isolating and discouraging. Building relationships with mentors, peers, and loved ones provides encouragement, perspective, and accountability. A strong support network helps you maintain balance and perspective during challenging times. It's also important to understand that rejection enhances your ability to handle criticism constructively. Not all rejection is personal. Some feedback is meant to guide improvement. Developing discernment to separate constructive criticism from destructive rejection equips you to learn and grow continuously. Rejection teaches you the art of resilience, not only in action but in attitude. Maintaining a positive attitude amidst setbacks influences your energy and the energy you project. Positivity attracts opportunities and opens doors that negativity closes. Your attitude becomes a beacon that draws blessings rather than repelling them. Finally, rejection prepares you for lasting success by aligning you with your true purpose. When you persist through rejection, refine your goals, deepen your faith, and cultivate resilience, you position yourself to receive what is truly meant for you. This alignment ensures that your success is not fleeting but enduring and meaningful. Your journey through rejection is shaping you into a person of strength, wisdom, and purpose. Embrace it fully, knowing that every no is a powerful yes in disguise, guiding you toward your highest destiny. Keep pressing forward, trusting that your breakthrough is coming and your life's greatest chapters are still ahead.